We just had a report of a serious PI accident. Are you clear to copy? The serious PI report, one vehicle involved left the roadway and into a tree. The 1020 is Niski Road. That's Niski Road, just west of Guelph. Just RTT if you require backup 1260.
Jason was a 17-year-old student at Centennial Collegiate in Guelph. He was a good student, made the honor roll in grade 9. Interested in sports, he helped out with running our Spartan basketball team. As well as being an avid fan of the Guelph Storm hockey team, Jason enjoyed street hockey and skiing. Other things he enjoyed doing with his friends included going to the movies and attending youth dances. Like other teenagers, Jason had a part-time job. He worked with his dad at the Guelph Daily Mercury. He also made some extra money mowing neighbors' lawns. Many good qualities could be found in Jason. He strived to have a happy and fulfilling life and to make others happy around him. Friends would describe him as a trustworthy, understanding, and sensitive person. He was someone you could count on. Jason had a good relationship with his parents. He tried to be considerate of them and enjoyed being home with them when it was possible. He treated his parents with respect, and in return, he received respect from them. It was the opinion of Jason's parents that he was a good, average driver. He received a certificate for the successful completion of a formal driver's training course. Those who knew Jason were touched by him. Remember him for his smile and the way he seemed to be high on life. Many people were just grateful to have known him. The memory of Jason will never be lost because those who knew him will never forget him. Every day of Bill Wilson's life was stretched and filled with more activities than the average teenager was accustomed to handling. Bill was 16 years old. He too was a student at Centennial CVI. He had a very busy lifestyle, being involved with many different groups at school. He loved cross-country skiing and was involved with other groups such as the Mountain Bikers Club, the Environmentalist Club, the Ontario Students Against Impaired Driving, the Dead Poets Society, and he was a member of the school choir. Bill wasn't an A student. He always had to work hard and apply himself to get decent marks. However, where he didn't succeed in getting high marks, he more than made up for it with his participation in the extracurricular activities and in his contribution to school life. But even with such a busy life, he still found time for a part-time job at Arby's restaurant. This gave him some extra money for leisure activities. Family and friends would describe Bill as outspoken, responsible, and competent. Someone who wouldn't conform to a trend, but had set values and principles. Bill's father died in 1984, and that brought the family closer together. He was very family-oriented and depended on his mother and older sister for support. He had a healthy lifestyle. He didn't smoke or drink booze or take drugs. For those who knew him, Bill will be remembered for his warm smile and friendly disposition. Chris McCaig was the trusted friend of many people, both at Centennial High School and in the community. He enjoyed the time he spent with friends and was well liked by many people. Friends would describe him as outgoing and group-oriented. He was a happy teenager and made those around him pleased to be with him. Chris was involved in various school activities. Some of these included being a member of the school football team and the drama club. To benefit from work experience and to put a little extra money in his pocket, Chris worked part-time at McDonald's. His fellow co-workers felt that he was a real asset to the company. Good work habits and a positive attitude were traits which Chris frequently displayed at his job. The positive attitude that he had at work was also reflected in his involvement with church and his home life. Chris got along well with his parents, as well as his younger brother. His father cherished the moments when he and his son could work on various projects together. Chris was quite creative and good with his hands. He really enjoyed working with his dad on a number of electronics projects. Chris's father felt that his son was a mature person and very responsible. By September of 1992, Chris had his driver's license. He had successfully completed a driver's training course. Chris will be remembered most for his ability to make those around him smile. Ontario Provincial Police, Guelph Detachment, fatal motor vehicle accident, first report, background investigation. On Saturday, the 6th of February, 1993, all three deceased had attended at a residence in Puslinch Township to visit with friends and watch videos. The three ate ice cream and cake but had nothing to drink, not even a pop. The deceased persons had no history of drug or alcohol use. At 22:30 hours, Chris McCaig phoned his residence to advise his parents he was leaving the house in Puslinch Township and would be home shortly. The three left the residence, seated in the car in the same positions as they were later found at the accident scene. From the residence to the accident scene, the distance is 13.8 kilometers. No evidence of an alcoholic beverage or drugs was found on the victims, either at the scene or in their prior history. Brief synopsis. On 06 February 1993 at approximately 22:45 hours, a 1988 Pontiac Bonneville SSE, red in color, was westbound on Niska Road at the Speed River Bridge, Puslinch Township, west of the city of Guelph. The Bailey Bridge at this location is 25 meters long. The posted speed limit on Niska Road is 50 kilometers per hour. The vehicle approached the bridge at a high rate of speed, becoming airborne as they crossed the bridge. The car hit the ground on the west side of the bridge, the driver losing control of the vehicle. The vehicle went into a long skid towards the right or north side of the road, leaving the roadway and striking a group of trees with the driver's side of the car. The ferocity of the collision caused the engine to be ripped from the vehicle. Report of OPP traffic expert. From calculations conducted at the scene of the collision, it is estimated the vehicle was traveling at a speed of 141 kilometers per hour. No inordinate amount of problems occur at this site when vehicles obey the posted 50 kilometer per hour speed limit. Post-mortem examination. A post-mortem examination was performed on Chris at Guelph General Hospital on 07 February 1993. The cause of death was listed as a broken neck and fractured skull. Other injuries included 2 broken femurs, 1 broken humerus, and a ruptured diaphragm. Cause of death on the other 2 occupants is listed as massive trauma, similar to Chris's injuries. That's the way this accident is entered on the OPP files. Very straightforward and official. The loss to family, friends, and school members is too difficult to imagine. This collision wasn't the result of people not wearing seat belts or drinking and driving. This collision was the combination of an inexperienced driver plus a vehicle traveling at a very high speed in a posted 50 kilometer per hour zone.
This has been a very devastating thing and a tragedy for our family. We were a family of 4. People come up and ask me, who don't know me and who meet me for the first time now, ask me how many children I have. And it took a while, but now I say I have 2 children. And then if they ask me further, I answer that my oldest boy was killed in a car crash. We were away one time after Chris was killed, and we went into a restaurant and we looked around, and there was only tables for 2 or 4. And in most restaurants there isn't a table for 3. And we had to sit at a table for 4, and there was the empty chair. And that was very, very hard for us to sit there and to realize that that chair wouldn't be filled by Chris. We've had many adjustments to become this new family, and we're doing our best, but sometimes it's brutal. I'll use that word, it's brutal. And I do remember one man that I've gotten to know because he lost his son in a car accident about 7 years ago. He said, you know, some people come up to me and say, you know, oh, well, thank goodness he didn't end up in a wheelchair. He said, you know, Dave, I'd give my right arm to see my son in a wheelchair for just one day. And he said that 7 years after his son died.
I think the hardest part with the accident was actually having the OPP come to my work at 2:30 in the morning and asking for me, and then I vividly remember it even today, them saying that it's almost the old cliche, although it was done with a lot of sincerity and compassion. But it was, we were investigating an accident tonight, and we're sorry to inform you that your son has passed away. To hear something like that is like, I guess, taking a machete and just thrusting it into your chest, and then once it's in there, ripping it around and just taking everything right out. And it was going home as well, or being driven home actually, by the OPP, that I had to think of, well, how do I tell my family, how do I tell my wife, how do I tell my daughter that they no longer have a son, or they no longer have a brother? Questioning yourself as to why. And this is at 3:30 in the morning. My wife knew instantly when I walked in that something was wrong, because I, as well as Jason, was to have been at work that night. And the only thing I could say was, he's gone. I didn't know what else to say. It was in shock. To hear the shriek from my daughter and my wife just in total shock. Taking the trip up to the hospital was another difficult one, because it was on that trip up that you knew your son was there, and that he wouldn't speak to you because he was dead, and it was identifying that body. It is probably every parent's worst nightmare.
Statistics show that drivers between the age of 16 to 24 years make up a relatively small percentage of Ontario drivers, but account for a high percentage of the drivers involved in motor vehicle collisions. One of the main reasons is lack of driving experience. These three young people should not have died.
When other teenagers talk to me about the death of Chris, and what it means is that I just hope they realize that it's not something that passes in the night.
Jason won't be there to attain the goals that he set out. He'll no longer graduate from high school. He'll no longer go on to university. He'll no longer go on and achieve the goals and the dreams that he once had.